Every couple of months, I've noticed I tend to make a video that talks a lot about rumors and potential leaks moving into the DC universe. Prior to me doing YouTube, I've never really been one to getting into leaks and scoops, and I actually really considered even making this video today. And the reason why I nearly did not make this video is because I'm really keeping in mind that tweet that James Gunn posted about how nobody knows anything about the future of the DCU other than him and Peter Safran. A lot of times too, I look at rumors and leaks and have really never taken them seriously. Every single rumor and leak or scoop you come across, 90, 95, 98% of the time, you should take them with a grain of salt. But with James Gunn saying something like that, you seriously have to take these with a grain of salt. If not, don't even take them at all. Now, I came across a massive amount of rumors and scoops. A huge vast majority of this I don't believe at all. I do want to go through them just because, I think they're kind of a fun read, and I want to give my 2 cents on it, how I would feel if something like that actually happened. But sometimes you do gotta wonder, maybe these leaks and rumors are given to scoopers so that they will report on it, and even if it is not a plan currently within the studio, maybe that's the studio's way of looking at the audience's reaction to seeing what they say about the potential rumor that would, maybe make them move in that direction or go a completely different route. I have found it very funny though that James Gunn comes out and says, nobody knows about the DCU other than me and Peter Safran, and then all of a sudden all these scoopers come out of nowhere and are like, hey, yeah, I know what's going on in the DCU. Like, shut up. But let's go through these rumors, and not because I believe them, but because I want to see what some of these people are saying and how interesting they actually sound. Now, 2 things I want to begin these rumors off with is the recasting of The Flash and the casting of Green Lantern Hal Jordan. These are things I've actually been hearing even before James Gunn and Peter Safran became CEOs of DC. I've heard so many people say Ezra Miller is out no matter what happens during his trial and no matter how the film is perceived, and that he will be replaced with George McKay. I like what I've seen from George McKay, and I would like him being the Flash. I think he suits it. And then when you look at Glenn Powell as Green Lantern, I think it's actually a perfect casting. He's been in 2 jet fighter films that are super similar to each other, Top Gun 2, and then I think there's another film called Devotion, where he's like literally playing the exact same character. But we all know Hal Jordan started his career that way before becoming Green Lantern. It would make sense to get Glenn Powell to play that character since he already knows how to be the Hal Jordan side of it. He even looks like he'd be a great Green Lantern. The only problem I have with that casting choice is not the casting choice itself, it's all the buzz around it. It reminds me of the situation with Nathan Fillion and Nathan Drake from the Uncharted series. For years when they were planning an Uncharted movie and the casting for the Uncharted film, people were screaming Nathan Fillion. And it makes sense. The guy looks like him, talks like him, sounds like him, acts like him. He would have been a great choice for Nathan Drake 10 to 15 years ago. But of course, did a perfect casting in that situation ever end up happening? No, it didn't. I wouldn't be surprised if Glenn Powell does not become Green Lantern. But admittedly, these are 2 rumors or castings, if you will, that I do believe are real. I do believe there are truth behind George McKay and Glenn Powell. We'll just have to see. Now, let's just get into the rumors that I do not believe, but rather I'd like to talk about them as potential theories on, maybe this would be cool if it happened, or thank God it's not going to happen. Even if somehow some of these scoops are potentially real. I will say, I feel like a lot of this might have been coming from the old regime of Warner Brothers, and or there's just some things here that are no longer in development and not any longer moving forward. We gotta remember, these studios change their minds every minute of every day. Sometimes they might tell people things to actually throw them off of the scent of something they're actually doing. Maybe this is actual information told to them by someone who does know what's going on in DC. It's just not the truth. So then scoopers take it for, oh, this must be happening. All right, so as many people might know, there's a Twitter user named Person Who Knows 22, and yeah, I don't really know how I feel about this scooper. Hit and miss, definitely. But this is what they claim the Justice League roster will look like. Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Batman, Shazam, Black Canary, Hawkgirl, Green Arrow, The Flash, John Stewart Green Lantern, Hal Jordan Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter, and Supergirl. I mean, you could make 2 teams from that. That's not the Justice League. That is a combination of the Justice League and the Justice Society. There's enough people there to make 2 separate movies. I mean, what's wrong with the Justice League just being Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, one of the Green Lanterns, Flash, and Martian Manhunter? I'm fine with that. Maybe a 7th, okay. From another user named DC Anonymous, they're also claiming that Justice League will then be released in 2026 and 2027. Now, let's be real here. We are at the very end of 2022. Things for DC are gonna start getting shaped up by next year. I think it would be a damn shame if we had to wait another 3 to 4 years for a Justice League film. I'm not surprised if that is what is going to happen, but I think DC should actually be a little ambitious here, and they should push for a Justice League film by 2024, 2025. At the very least, 2025. I don't think we should need to be waiting to potentially 2027 for a film. Now, I made mention of this in a previous video about Jason Momoa's excitement for DC's future, where I've heard things that Andy Muschetti would be the director of the next Justice League film. There has been nothing to prove to me, or frankly anyone else, why he should be the director. Please, James Gunn, if you're hearing this, put that rumor to rest if it really is not true. It just feels like that's coming from somebody who's a huge Andy Muschetti homer, and no disrespect to him, but we have seen no reason why he should be helming the next Justice League film. But according to that same user, they have also stated that apparently Muschetti and James Gunn are both interested in developing a crime syndicate story. I will believe it when I see it, and I will believe it when it comes straight from the mouth of James Gunn and DC Studios themselves. Although I would love that. I would love to see the crime syndicate actually shown on screen, because then you could get different actors to play parallel dimensions of the Justice League we know. We'd get to see an Owlman, an Ultraman, a Superwoman, and so on. I think that would actually be a really great Justice League villain for a Justice League film, to see them fight their evil counterparts from Earth 3. And I think that could definitely be a possibility, especially too if James Gunn has any intention in this 10-year DC plan to move forward in the multiversal direction. Regardless, reading this roster list of the Justice League really made me laugh. I don't understand how there's that many people in the Justice League. Doesn't make sense to me. And as much as I'd like to see the crime syndicate in Justice League as a main villain, I mean, guys, we haven't even seen the Legion of Doom yet, so I think you gotta calm down. It's one thing to be a scooper, but then it's another thing to be a scooper and then to say, you know what, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening, over here, over there, over there. It's like, chill, man. Especially, once again, I cannot stress this enough, James Gunn has said nobody knows anything but him and Safran. Now, let's read some things that are apparently being said about individual characters in the DCU and their potential futures. So as for Aquaman, Aquaman 2 is so far so good. They are doing minor reshoots that are already known. The original plan was to just have Keaton show up in a couple of scenes that then changed to Ben Affleck showing up in the beginning, and then Ben Affleck and Michael Keaton appearing in a post-credit scene where Affleck is merging into Keaton. They did this as a way to allow them to leave the door open for either option. They definitely want to do an Aquaman 3, but I don't know if they have a plot yet. I personally am not completely debunking this. I mean, we all know reshoots are happening for that film. We all know that Ben Affleck is coming to replace the scenes from Michael Keaton. I don't know if I believe this whole Ben Affleck merging into Michael Keaton, then that way they will be able to choose between actors in the future. I mean, I think they're already choosing who they want to use for the future. They don't need that specific scene to delegate who they're going to be using. And yes, Aquaman 3, I don't even really think is a scoop. Whether or not Aquaman 3 happens, that's just obvious. You don't make 2 films and say, yeah, we're done here. Usually superheroes get trilogy films. I have no doubt in my mind that every single one of them are thinking, how do we do an Aquaman 3? Especially with the fact that Jason Momoa is not going anywhere and wants to play Aquaman long term. Black Adam / Shazam. The Rock wants Black Adam to be a reoccurring character who ends up fighting the Justice League. He doesn't seem that interested in fighting Shazam, although he is open to the idea of him fighting Superman and Shazam in a tag team match. Safran and Gunn have similar ambitions with Black Adam. They want Shazam and Black Adam to fight in the movie, and then in the next they do a team-up film where Billy tries to rehabilitate Adam and fight Mr. Mind in the Monster Society. Black Adam 2 has a script and it's pretty similar to the first. Amanda Waller is the villain and sends Checkmate, originally the Suicide Squad, but Gunn has different plans for the group, and Atom Smasher after him. Superman has been written to have a supporting role. He mainly appears in the beginning and end, first being cold and unapproving to him, but by the end he accepts Black Adam as a hero and helps him fight Checkmate, and Atom Smasher joins Adam's side. Once again, more possibilities here, and I definitely don't want to say this is false, but I just can't help but feel like, is there truth to this, or is this someone just saying things that they hope happens? I have no doubt that Black Adam 2 script has been bullet pointed. There are definitely things they already know they want to do for the second film, but like, chill. The first film is not even out on Blu-ray yet. No one has the actual physical edition copy, and if you do, you probably worked on the production itself. Let that film breathe before you claim to say you know how the exact movements of the second movie are going to happen. Now, it says that The Rock is not interested in fighting Shazam, but he would be open to a Superman Shazam versus Black Adam. I think that would be amazing. I would love a live action retelling of Superman and Shazam versus Black Adam. And of course, we all want to see a solo fight between Black Adam and Superman because it has been talked about for years, especially with Henry Cavill. Although I think we got to give a little bit more credit to The Rock here. I think he does realize that Shazam and Black Adam are part of the same family, and they definitely have to have their own story together, since the future of their characters will probably have to be very intertwined. But out of all the scoops here, it's definitely not the most far-fetched. All right, now into the big boy, Batman. So far, they are keeping Pattinson and Matt Reeves' universe disconnected from the DCU. Currently, they don't plan on doing any Batman movies in the DCU, and instead will focus more on the Bat family, with Batman having a supporting role. Matt Reeves wants to do a trilogy, but they are trying to convince him to do more. If Reeves decides to leave after 3, they will fold the Reeves-verse into the DCU, expand the Reeves-verse to add other heroes. They do want Ben Affleck to do an adaptation of Batman: The Return of Bruce Wayne, where he travels across time and the multiverse before returning home in the Crisis event. This is exactly what I'm saying. I can see some truth to these things, But that's because some of these things are obvious. These aren't even scoops. But then there's some things here that are like, man, you just sound like a huge fan who has wanted something like this to happen for years. For example, the things I do believe, 100%, I believe that right now the Reevesverse is staying disconnected. I do believe that Matt Reeves wants to make a trilogy. But then, like, Ben Affleck doing the whole Return of Bruce Wayne storyline, yeah, that sounds awesome. But where are you getting this information from? I could create a scooping account right now and say, yeah, I've been hearing things. Ben Affleck's coming back. He's coming back as the main time Bruce Wayne. He's gonna be doing the Return of Bruce Wayne storyline. We're even gonna get an epic fight of him and Henry Cavill's Superman versus Darkseid in the future Justice League film. It's so easy to just say things and then have people pass this along around the internet and be like, yo, is this scooper like verified? Is he trustworthy? You know what I mean? It's so easy. Once again, I would love if that happened. I would just simply love if Ben Affleck came back in the first place. But like, come on, man, like we're not that stupid, or I hope we're not that stupid to just blindly believe something like that's gonna happen. And hey, if it does happen, let's thank James Gunn. But that's who we need to hear it from. I mean, we couldn't even get Ben Affleck's own solo Batman film. Why would we all of a sudden get a multiversal, dimensional hopping movie with Ben Affleck as Batman? Wonder Woman, a character who has been very quiet lately. Wonder Woman 3 has been fully written, and they are hoping for a mid-2024 release date. The villain of the film is Cersei. Wonder Woman goes on an odyssey with Asteria and newly introduced Donna Troy to find Zeus's lightning bolt to stop Cersei. I mean, sure, that's fine. Cersei, I think, is cool. I frankly just don't really care about the Wonder Woman storylines right now. Wonder Woman 84 put such a bad taste in my mouth. I don't even know how to feel about this. Maybe there's truth, maybe there's not. I just don't care. Superman. They are trying to fast track a Cavill Superman movie. Multiple directors have been considered, including David Yates, Steven Spielberg, with him being the top choice, and Phil Lord and Chris Miller. They are still accepting pitches from different writers, so they aren't set on the plot, but they seem to be interested in Brainiac or the Elite. I actually genuinely believe this one, and if James Gunn were to come out and say not true, I'd be like, all right, it's not true. Simple as that. Who else would know other than him? But I have heard a lot of things about Steven Spielberg. I think Phil Lord and Chris Miller would actually be amazing. And Brainiac is the main villain. Yes, please. I think we need finally a live representation of Brainiac. With Henry Cavill officially announcing his comeback as Superman as well, I think that even if they're not very vocal about it, they are certainly trying to speed up this Superman process. An Amanda Waller series. It's going to be a checkmate series. Waller would make her way back up the government and trying to get in the goodwill, and creates a new task force called Checkmate, which would compromise of government agents and vigilantes instead of villains being held against their will. Gunn has talked with Michael Rosenbaum and wants him to play Harry Stein, who will be Waller's right-hand man and foil. There's not much else I know except that they want Huntress, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, reprising her role, and Captain Adam to appear. This would actually go directly to the video I made a couple days ago about the Janus Directive. I'm not so certain about Amanda Waller getting her own HBO Max series, TV show or something. I could see them making a Checkmate series. I could see Peacemaker season 2 leading into a storyline like this, but this actually could correlate to the Janus Directive. If the Janus Directive is an actual thing that James Gunn has in mind, maybe this is where it's going. The Flash. Ezra Miller is going to be recast unless if some miraculous thing happens and they suddenly become beloved by everyone. Not gonna happen. Andy Muschetti will direct a Flash sequel which will tie into Justice League 2, and Andy Muschetti wants to cast Bill Skarsgård as Barry. This is what I'm talking about. This just sounds like somebody who says, I have a fan casting for The Flash, let me put it out there and make everybody believe it. And then finally, the future of Batman and the Bat Family. Bat Family movies movies with either Keaton or Affleck. If it's Keaton, then Affleck could get a movie or a large role in a Justice League movie where he travels the multiverse and tries to find his way home. If it's Affleck who's in the Bat family, then forget about the Batman Return of the Bruce Wayne movie. If Matt Reeves doesn't want to continue after 3 movies, they will either expand the Batman verse with other heroes like Superman and Wonder Woman, or they will merge that universe with the DCU, which would be after Crisis on Infinite Earths and would be 8 to 10 years from now at the very least. Pattinson is very enthusiastic to play Batman for the long run, but in the case that he changes his mind, they just won't continue him. Nightwing will get a solo movie, but the others aren't so certain. They want to do a Bat family movie first, and if they feel like a character was well received, then they would talk about spin-offs. The only believable thing here is Robert Pattinson enthusiastically wants to continue playing Batman. That's it. This just once again sounds like a diehard fan, which I don't blame you, but you just are spewing information that nobody knows about, and you're just trying to start things that James Gunn probably doesn't even have planned. And hey, if this is somewhat true, if James Gunn does have this plan, I'll believe it when I see it. I'll believe it when he says it from his mouth. And are we just forgetting that Zaslav said there won't be 4 Batmans, and the fact that they want to have one DCU Batman? So then what would this all be about if you still kept Keaton and Affleck around? At the end of the day, guys, this was probably a video of me maybe ripping on scoopers more than anything, because if James Gunn says no one knows anything, then no one knows anything. We just have to be patient and wait for January when he drops details. If some of this stuff happens to be true, some of the stuff that I've personally talked shit about, well then hey, I'm wrong, but once again, I'm waiting for it to come out of the CEO's mouth. There are only a couple of things here that I somewhat believe, but that's either because 1, it's been talked about even months before James Gunn, or 2, because it's obvious. It's not a scoop, it's not a leak, it's not a rumor, it's just obvious information that doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand. We are in a situation right now where we have no idea what's going on in DC. It's being very hush-hush. It is locked behind a sealed door that even Superman couldn't punch through. Regardless of all of that, you let me know in the comments below if there is actually anything here that you might believe other than the very, very obvious things. And also let me know in the comments below what you're excited to hear from James Gunn in January. But that's all I got for you on this one, guys. And until next time, I will talk to you all very soon.